Hello everyone, today is 13th of November, now it's 10 o'clock in the morning Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my first update for the day in which I will share all the main news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. And there are plenty of important developments and news. Some of them quite unfortunate, really, that I'm going to share in this update. Well, let's start. First of all, a short summary on the situation on Ukrainian battlefield. Russian troops are improving positions all along the front line in zone of special military operation and also in Kursk salient. This morning, reports came in about Russian relatively large-scale missile and drone strikes on military and logistics infrastructure of the Kiev regime. There was explosions in Kiev itself and in surrounding areas. According to reports that I see, Russian strategical aviation launched cruise missiles and also ground forces launched Iskander missiles, and drones are also operating on over Kiev-controlled territories. No detailed information yet what exactly was targeted by, but during the day probably we will learn some more on that, and of course I will share additional information on my Telegram channel and then in the next updates. That's being said, let's continue with this news from TASS, which said that Russian air defense systems on duty intercepted 29 drones that were launched by Kiev regime with, of course, assistance of NATO member states, US and UK first of all, to strike deep inside the Russian territory. No detailed information about casualties on the ground or more or less significant damage at this point as a result of this yet another attempt to strike Russia. If any updates, of course, I will share additional information on my platforms, on my channels. TASS news agency is also reporting, based on an update from Russian Defense Ministry, that during the previous 24 hours, Kiev regime lost more than 300 Kiev regime and NATO mercenaries lost more than 300 military personnel in the Kursk salient area, where Russian forces continue counter-terrorist operation and are liberating more and more territories from invading force. Also, Kiev regime lost during the previous 24 hours in this direction 5 tanks, 4 infantry fighting vehicles, and armored personnel carriers. 3 other type of armored vehicles, carriers like Max Pros and so on. Also 4 artillery systems, 2 motors, radio electronic warfare system, and a number of other vehicles. Overall, since the beginning of invasion of the borderline areas of the Kursk region, Kiev regime and NATO mercenaries lost more than 31,700 military personnel, also about 200 tanks, 131 infantry fighting vehicles, 110 armored personnel carriers, more than 1100 different type of armored vehicles, carriers, trucks and so on, 858 motor vehicles that were transformed for military purposes, 269 artillery systems, 40 multi-launch rocket systems, including 11 US-made HIMARS systems, and then much more military equipment. Entire army, basically, of the Kiev regime and their NATO mercenaries were decimated in the Kursk salient area by Russian troops in the last 3 months, and process continues, by the way. Still, units of about 10 to 15 brigades of the Kiev regime that were prepared by NATO and were equipped by NATO standards still are presented in this area and are getting smashed on daily basis. TASS news agency is also reporting that our State Department once again spoke about North Korean troops on the Russian territory. Official representative of the US State Department, Vedant Patel, stated that about 10,000 North Korean troops are on Russian soil, and a number of these troops are already participating in military hostilities in the Kursk salient area without providing any evidences, by the way. That's just a talk on part of State Department. Never ever since the beginning of speculating on this matter we have seen any real factual evidences that North Korean troops are in a zone of special military operation or in a zone of counter-terrorist operation. We all understand basically what is happening. This topic is used by Western ruling class and their puppets in their governments of the collective West countries, including US, to basically prepare ground for deployment of NATO troops into zone of hostilities, into zone of this proxy war that the West is waging against Russia. So I guess citizens of the Western states should get ready that their fellow citizens in fairly short time may be sent to die in this proxy war that the West is waging against us, against Russia. And some of their puppets of the Western ruling class are openly talking about it, deployment of NATO troops. And I will share with you, I will give you some news on that later on in this program. Also, we have this report from TASS News Agency that during their last 24 to 48 hours, Russian armed forces launched additional long-range precise strikes on airfields that are controlled by Kiev regime. And last several days, by the way, I noticed quite a number of times this type of reports that Russian armed forces were targeting airfields on Kiev-controlled territory, which is possibly a reason why we don't really hear much talk about F-16s, right? In any Western propaganda outlet. When last time you hear anything about F-16s? I can't remember. It's quite long ago, right? So Russian side is monitoring situation, and whenever some movements are happening of their military aircraft that the West provided to this terrorist regime in Kiev, Russian armed forces are launching strikes and decimating enemy in those airfields. Although, by the way, NATO, of course, don't intend to de-escalate. They want this proxy war to continue as long as possible, and therefore we have this report from Vzglyad newspaper that France will transfer 6 Mirage 2000 planes, fighters, to Kiev regime in 2025. And according to this report, which is coming from, let me translate this news for a little more detail. Of course, no number of Western planes gonna change outcome of this conflict, but of course, these additional transfers of weapons and money to this terrorist regime in Kiev can and will prolong this conflict, which is unfortunate, obviously. So France intends to transfer 6 Mirage 2000 fighter jets with their full support to Ukraine, according to TASS reports. This follows from report of MP Frank Giletti, presented in the National Assembly of France. The document was prepared for the Parliamentary Committee on National Defense and Armed Forces as a part of discussion of budget for 2025. So that's the intention of the France. Okay, earlier there was reports that agreement was reached between Kiev and Paris about transfer of this type of planes, and I guess in 2025 we will see how Russian forces are destroying and neutralizing this French garbage, I will say. And it is garbage, by the way. Don't make mistake on that. Mirage 2000s, they were never good planes, really, and they're not gonna do much. West cannot provide Kiev regime with any weapon systems that can be game changers, by the way. They can deploy even F-22s and F-35s if they want to. We will take them out also. That's just how it is, right? But unfortunately, these deliveries of the weapons and constant flow of money to to Kiev regime, obviously prolonging their conflict, which is tragical, unfortunate for all of humanity, by the way, because every day this conflict continues. World is closer and closer to Third World War, which will be, if it starts, it's gonna be end of everything. And the Western ruling class seems like too sure about their safety. Probably they think they have good enough bunkers that they can live and be safe if they will provoke Third World War, because otherwise I don't understand how this former Prime Minister, if Boris Johnson, is coming up with such statements that UK may have to provide troops to Kiev, which will definitely bring this world closer to end like never before, right? We all understand that Boris Johnson is a psycho, a clown, basically, that the entire world is laughing at, but same time, this little prostitute is a puppet of the Western ruling class, right? And he is talking, he is using talking points that are originated from Western ruling class. So therefore, one should pay a little more attention to what these prostitutes are talking about. So the UK cannot let Ukraine suffer defeat in its ongoing conflict with Russia. Former British Prime Minister and obviously prostitute Boris Johnson told GB News in an interview published on Tuesday, London could go as far as sending in troops if Kiev goes down. He warned, according to Johnson, Russia's success in Ukraine would spark a security crisis for the US and its allies on a multitude of fronts. It will be the Baltic states, it will be Georgia. You'll see the impact of Ukrainian defeat in the Pacific theater. You'll see it in the South China Sea. The politician said without prostitute, basically, said without specifying what exactly could happen in those regions, because he's a stupid, by the way. IQ of Boris Johnson probably around 20 or 30, right? This is an uneducated, stupid prostitute. That's what Boris Johnson is, really. And if anyone has any respect for this dirty beach, then I feel sorry for those people, man. You know, I don't know from which brothel these prostitutes being taken out and put in a position of power by Western ruling class, but they are doing quite a poor job, because, I mean, among their puppets in the governments of the Western countries, current officials or former officials, you barely find their intellectuals. Am I wrong, dear friends? Am I wrong? Take a look at their current or former officials of the collective West countries, vast majority of them. Not all of them, but vast majority of them. Do you see intellectuals there? Do you see people that have principles, morale, or values among them? No. These are degenerates, total degenerates, by the way. This is factual, right? And that's why they've been used by Western ruling class, because they have no principles. They will sign up for whatever, as long as they are, maintaining some sort of relevance for themselves and position. That's all. And when it comes to UK troops, by the way, you know what? Send entire your army. I mean, if it was up to me, I mean, if I was Russian foreign minister, I will say, you know what? Send entire your army, by the way. Just send it. Don't talk about too much, if anybody cares really about your quasi-kingdom. Just send entire your army and we will see what happened to it. You want it to go down this way? Bring it on. Bring it on, for God's sake. Too much talk, man. We don't give a fuck about British army, man. We will decimate it in matter of months or two, right? Just in Kursk salient, Kiev regime lost over 30,000 troops, right? Battle capable, battle hardened, most capable brigades. Just in a couple of months, entire army was neutralized. And you think what will happen with to entire British armed forces, by the way, if they are deployed on the battlefield? They will fucking scared to death. There will be suicides like you have never seen before among British military personnel, because they will go crazy, by the way, from what they will see. This war not gonna be what they were doing in Afghanistan, right? They were fighting and lost, by the way, battle with their poorly equipped and poorly prepared locals. Just too much talk, I mean, and I guess you can understand my frustration, because I'm reading this news, by the way, day in, day out, right? I'm seeing almost every single day the statements from current or former high-ranking officials of the collective West with the threats towards us. And I mean, at one point you are just getting tired of it, and I'm telling you, if it was up to me, I will definitely say, you know what, bring it on, man. Entire British army, send it. How many soldiers do you have? Like 70,000, 80,000, 100,000? Send it all, man. Don't hesitate. Just do it. And we will see what will happen to it in just a couple of months' time. Maybe really it is time Moscow to start, I don't know, man, using different language in regards to these psychos from the West. I don't know, man. And just look at this another news, by the way. Boris Johnson is threatening with the British troops. Now German possible future chancellor is threatening Russia. It's some ultimatums. What the hell, man? What is wrong with these prostitutes, man? That's what they are. That's what they are, man. They deserve no respect. So German opposition leader wants Kiev to give Moscow an ultimatum. Okay, Kiev is in position to give Moscow ultimatum. I mean, dear friends from Germany, I mean, are you really okay that you have this kind of imbeciles in your elites? Is it okay for you? What the hell, man? So Western countries should allow Kiev to issue an ultimatum to Moscow and allow long-range missile strikes deep into Russian territory if the Kremlin fails to comply with it. German MP Friedrich Merz told the Stern magazine in an interview published over the weekend. The political prostitute basically, leads Germany's biggest opposition party, the Conservative Christian Democratic Union. These animals, by the way, call themselves Christians, man. That's quite a shame, man. These fucking animals call themselves Christians. And they are doing whatever they can to prolong this proxy war against Russia so that more people will die. What is the Christian about it, man? What is the Christian about it? You fucking morons. German so-called politicians. Anyways, let's go through this news. The politician leads Germany's biggest opposition party, the Conservative Christian Democratic Union, and will be its chancellor candidate at the next parliamentary elections. Germany is potentially heading into a snap vote early next year. Yes, there will be elections, parliamentary elections in Germany in February. And when asked by Stern whether he would supply Kiev with the Taurus missiles if he gets to lead Germany's next government, Merz said that Germany must do everything to ensure Ukraine can successfully fight against Russia, except for entering their conflict itself. Yeah, you motherfucker, you launch Taurus missiles against us, and you will try to hide behind the plausible deniability that you don't have anything to do with it. No, man. Russian missiles fly to Berlin on the very same hour and possibly tipped with the nukes. So you fucking animals should think twice what you are talking about. Dirty bitches, man. So I don't know, man. People in Europe has to wake up before it's not too late. That's all I will say, because, I mean, Germany, we don't give a damn about your Taurus missiles. We don't give a damn about your army, like we don't give a damn about British army. Send it all, man. We will take care of it. We will take care of it. Just give us a couple of months. That's gonna be it. And well, former Russian president and current deputy chairman of the Security Council, Dmitry Medvedev, responded on these crazy statements of this political prostitute from Germany that is leading party that shamefully called itself Conservative Christian Democratic Union. There is nothing Christian about these dirty bastards, man. So Medvedev said certain politicians in the European Union appear to be intent or triggering a full-blown war with Russia on their territory. Former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev claimed on Tuesday. The comments came after German lawmaker Friedrich Merz, leader of the Christian Democratic Union and contender to become an next chancellor, said he would beckon ultimatum to Russia in which Ukraine would threaten to use long-range Western-supplied missiles unless Moscow agreed to a ceasefire. The German politician previously accused their current chancellor Olaf Scholz of being too dovish on Russia, criticizing their embattled leader for refusing to supply air-launched Taurus missiles to Kyiv. Responding to on Tuesday, Medvedev argued that their missiles would not change the course of the conflict, but instead would increase by several times the risk of the conflict entering their most dangerous phase. Generally speaking, it is surprising how eager the current generation of European politicians are in inviting war to their territory, notably to their obvious delight of the Americans and against their wishes of their own peoples, added Medvedev, who currently serves as deputy chairman of the Russian Security Council. So he is correct, by the way. As I just said, very moment that these long-range missiles from Germany or from US or from UK will fly to strike deep inside the Russian territory, very same moment missiles will be launched in Russia, probably tipped with the nukes, and targets for these missiles will be in countries that will launch those missiles from Kyiv-controlled territory to strike us. So Medvedev is correct that these so-called politicians in Europe basically are inviting war on their territory, because war is going to come if you escalate further. These idiots among Western so-called elites don't really understand with what kind of fire they are playing with. And trust me, people here in Russia is getting very, very tired of this nonsense. And you know what? If tomorrow Russian government will say, Russian president will come out and say, you know what, guys, you all see what the hell is going on, isn't it? We have enemies that want to kill us all. Let's do mobilization. Let's get mobilized and take them out first. He may use different words, by the way, but, trust me, by the way, millions of citizens here in Russia will sign up for army, and I will be among first. Quite often I'm considering, to join Russian army anyway. I'm just afraid that due to some medical conditions, I might not be able to pass medical exams. But quite often I'm thinking that, maybe I will serve my country better if I will join army. And trust me, millions and millions of citizens of Russian Federation will react on a call of the government and will join armed forces to take out our enemies. So Western so-called politicians should think twice and be very careful. Otherwise, they're gonna bring war into their countries, because we're not gonna stop if we really start. And I remind you, dear friends, that Russian president said some time ago that Russia didn't even started yet. And he has a point. If we will start, we will definitely not stop on the western borders of this former Soviet Republic under the name of Ukraine. We will take out our enemies all around the continent, right? And elsewhere also. That's what is going to happen, man. Russia was too diplomatic for too long. Maybe it is time to show their, showcase the force. Anyways, as I just mentioned a couple of minutes ago, German elections are set for a third anniversary of Ukraine conflict escalation. According to media, new German parliament will be elected on February 23rd next year. Media outlets, including DPA news agency, reported on Tuesday, citing official sources. And, well, German people will have opportunity to at least try and influence a situation in their political system that they have. Because, if they are reluctant, if they do nothing, if they continue to vote for these imbeciles that they have in our government right now or among so-called elites and don't look at their alternatives that there is in Germany, by the way. There is a clear alternatives, right? Politicians are public figures, political parties that are focused on Germany and Germany's people's interests. So if those public figures and politicians will be ignored, and again, these imbeciles, current imbeciles that are in parliament and in government of Germany will maintain power, then I guess war is coming in that case. And who else but Germany knows how war with Russia is going to go down for them. They have experience. And France also has experience of that, right? And by the way, even Brits and even UK, British Empire, by the way, has experience of that. Obviously, they tried to fight Russia on several occasions and didn't achieve much. And even US troops, by the way, some may be surprised, but during the civil war in Russia, there was US troops deployed in far east of Russia, right? And then they were forced to run away as cowards as fast as they can. Check the history. So they all have experience, by the way, how it is to fight Russia. And if they want to repeat it, if they want history to repeat itself, come on, let's do it. Let's do it, for God's sake. As one say goes, a horrible end is better than unending horror. So, let's do it. If you are all about further escalation and wars and that kind of stuff. We certainly don't afraid to fight. We certainly don't afraid to die. That's for sure. Majority of us are fatalists, by the way. We believe in fate, so whatever is my fate, it is my fate. And there's nothing I can do to change it in any way, shape, or form, right? I believe in fate. And the vast majority of us, by the way, that's how we are built. That's our mentality. Anyways, let's continue with some more news. And dear friends, sorry if I'm a little emotional today, but come on, man, just imagine yourself in my position when you are involved in this field of news and politics, geopolitics, that kind of stuff, and you are receiving, you are reading and watching and listening news day in, day out, when a bunch of some fucking morons, by the way, from some certain areas are threatening your livelihood on daily basis. At one point you will get hungry, and I am hungry. And the Russian society is really sick and tired of this nonsense that is happening. Let's put these fucking animals, Western ruling class and their fucking puppets, in their places. These dirty bitches, man. Who they think they are, man? Fucking mistake of nature. That's what they are. Anyways, let's continue. Ukraine in a league with Al-Qaeda, according to reports from Syria. Why am I not surprised? Ukrainian agents have been working with Al-Qaeda in Syria, offering them drone warfare training and some of their US supplied weapons in exchange for manpower. The government in Damascus has told their RT, and previously I have reported quite a number of times about cooperation of the Kiev regime and its secret services with a number of terrorist groups in the African continent, also in the Middle East, and this information is just additional confirmation of that. And Al-Qaeda, by the way, is you can see it as a branch of CIA, right? Al-Qaeda was created by CIA. It is a branch of CIA, and CIA uses Al-Qaeda in any way they want it, right? Same goes for ISIS. ISIS was created by CIA, right? We all know that. And Kiev regime, as a terrorist regime, obviously is a puppet of the CIA and Washington, basically. And of course, they are cooperating with another puppets of CIA, another terrorist organizations all over the world. That's what it is. So I'm not at all surprised, by the way. US is a terrorist state. It's factual. US is an evil empire. It is a factual. Take a look at their history of, let's say, last 20, 30, 40 years. How many millions of people died as a result of evil actions of the US and the consequences, as a result of consequences of those actions? How many millions of people were killed? How many millions of people were displaced? And livelihoods of how many millions of people were destroyed as a result of the actions of this evil empire on the name of USA. Nothing to be said about other little chihuahuas that are barking next to US from NATO. They are involved in all those crimes also, obviously, but main force is, of course, evil empire itself. And this is true, by the way. You may like it or don't, but this is true. I mean, RT is reporting that US and UK considering new Nord Stream style attack. According to Putin's aide, US and UK are considering staging a new attack on critical undersea infrastructure reminiscent to a Nord Stream pipeline bombings. Nikolai Patrushev, an aide to Russian President Vladimir Putin, has stated. Patrushev, who led Russia's Security Council for over a decade before assuming his new role this year, made remarks in an interview with the Kommersant Daily published on Monday. According to available information, the Americans and the British are viewing their sabotage on the Nord Stream pipelines as one of many methods to advance their economic interests. They could attack other infrastructure facilities, including undersea fiber optic cables that provide communication throughout the world, Patrushev stated. And by the way, of course, they can attack communication cables. They already proved that, they are terrorists, right? So they attacked Nord Stream pipeline, biggest industrial scale terrorist attack that ever happened. And by the way, they may attack, maybe Patrushev was not 100% open here, understandably so, because plenty of information is classified. But he is giving us a hint by saying that US and UK are considering staging an attack on critical undersea infrastructure reminiscent to Nord Stream pipeline bombing. He is giving us a hint that US and UK are considering to attack South Stream pipelines, or Turkish Stream pipelines, by the way. That's in my reading of the situation, that's what is happening. And right now, Turk Stream is operating on, as far as I understand, on maximum of its capacity. And Turkey has ambitions to become an energy hub for Europe, right? Gas hub for Europe. Certain steps were made in this direction, and number of EU member states, number of European states are receiving quite large volumes of gas from this Turk stream still until now. And it is a possibility, undoubtedly, even though Russian and Turkish warships are monitoring areas where this pipeline is under the Black Sea, still I think it is possibility that US, UK, number of other countries, Kiev regime can be used also. They might try to destroy Turkish pipelines also. Of course, that's gonna make Turkey extremely angry, not just Russia, but Turkey also, because that will be end of to the ambitions of the Ankara to create this energy hub. But still, by the way, Western ruling class has no brakes. Their puppets in the governments of majority of the Western states have no brakes. So if they have a plan in place to destroy Turkish pipelines, they're gonna try at least. That's why I'm saying, by the way, if Turkey really wants, or Turkish leadership really wants to secure Turkish strategical interests in the long term, they should leave NATO, they should cut all the strategical ties to the collective West countries and get closer to BRICS. That's the way to go. But it's up to Ankara, obviously. TASS News Agency is also reporting that according to Rosoboron export, Russian military industrial complex is receiving record volumes of purchases when it comes to weapons, and right now Russian factories, Russian companies in military industrial complex have orders to produce over 30 different type of weapon systems for export. This was stated by director of the Spetsexporteur Alexander Mikheyev on an international air show China 2024 in Zhuhai. Probably all of you are familiar that these days this air show is taking place in China. I shared some videos, some information, photos about this air show. Russian Su-57s were presented, by the way, and Russia sent two planes, isn't it? One is to demonstrate. One is a flight demonstrator. Another is a for stationary demonstration, and these were just one was a flying prototype. Another one is just mock-up, right? Because it has to stand on the ground. It's not gonna fly. And there was a storm on the internet, by the way, that look how poorly built this demonstrator is. And I mean, even worse, I am following number of pilots that have channels on internet. Western pilots, by the way, and they were laughing on these critics of the Russian plane, because I mean, it's obvious this is, by the way, not a actual fighter that is conducting operations. This is just a demonstrator. You know, that's, you have to look at it and have more or less understanding how it's built, how it looks and stuff. Production models are different, right? And there no one gonna let you go close to, real plane, right? But because of some classified stuff and so on. But all these Russophobes, by the way, all these Russophobes, they love to talk about anything. They love to talk about some nonsense, right? And they start laughing, look, Su-57. I mean, send your F-22s, by the way, against us, and you will see what these Su-57s can do. Simple as that. RT is reporting that Poland's top general demands preparations for war with Russia. So Poland's Chief of General Staff, General Václav Kakula, has called for a heightened military and civilian readiness against what he describes as a real threat from Russia. In an interview with Rzeczpospolita or Czespospolita published on Tuesday, Kakula told a newspaper that Warsaw must be fully prepared to defend the nation, emphasizing that a well-prepared nation with their strong defensive capabilities and a resilient society would present a huge risk for any attacker. This is a real threat, the general stated, firmly stressing that the possibility of a conflict should not be underestimated. Okay, yet again, by the way, these constant attempts to threaten Western societies or EU societies with Russia, okay, this is their lifestyle now. That's what they love to do, by the way. And of course, this is an opportunity to apply for more money for military industrial complex. And that's what they do, by the way. Yet again, Poland had difficult relationships with Russia. Poland was used against Russia quite a number of times, still used, by the way, until now. And whenever Poland was hostile to Russia, it never really ended well to it. Right? I mean, historically speaking, members of our community from Poland can share their opinion on that. I mean, whenever Poland was used against us, usually by British Empire, by the way, because US not yet was created even. We are talking about centuries of history, right? Usually, Poland was, Polish elites were used and abused by London, and still ties, by the way, still until now. They are dependents of Polish elites on London for whatever reason. I mean, I don't know if they want, if Polish people are okay to be this hostile against us, I mean, you're welcome. What can I say about it? I don't like it. I don't want our countries to be hostile to each other. But yet again, man, if you want to fight us, bring it on. We are here. You know, we are here. And not going nowhere, by the way. Right? So, as Medvedev said, by the way, Western so-called politicians are more and more actively inviting war on their soil, and I'm not quite sure Western societies are realizing this. It is what it is. Russia is posing no threat to no one if not provoked. If not provoked, by the way, Russia will have no issues with no country in this world. Russia is not about escalation. And if anybody still don't understand this, then I don't know, man. Let's continue, and well, RT, how long is this update, man? It's already 43 minutes, and there's still quite a number of news left. Important news. So Rubio to back Trump on Ukraine, according to New York Times. Republican Senator Marco Rubio of Florida, who is expected to become the Secretary of their state in the US administration, would support President-elect Donald Trump's rumored plan to pressure Ukraine into agreeing in a peace with Russia. The New York Times has reported. The article on Monday said 3 persons had told it that Trump had decided to assign the post of Washington's top diplomat to Rubio. However, the sources also warned that the president-elect could still change his mind at the last minute. According to New York Times, Rubio will, if he gets the job, likely go along with Trump's expected policy to pressure Kiev to come to a settlement with Moscow and give up on its plans to join NATO. I don't know what plan New York Times is talking about. There was an article in Wall Street Journal recently, according to which plans team has idea to freeze the conflict, to pressure both sides to freeze the conflict on the current line of contact. This is a non-starter. I spoke about this a number of times previously. And according to the plan, Ukraine should declare a moratorium on joining NATO for 20 years, which is also hardly can be seen as an interesting idea for Moscow, because what about after 20 years? Russia was very clear. Ukraine is either neutral or there is no Ukraine on the political map. That's all. That's all. This cannot be negotiated. Ukraine, so-called Ukraine, either neutral, whatever will be left from it after this conflict will end, is either neutral, or there is no state, quasi-state on the political map under such a name. This creation, in my personal opinion, this creation of the Bolsheviks that Ukraine is, which was created on Russian territory, by the way, on Russian, historical Russian territory, and then Stalin had some territories, Stalin took some territories from Poland or Hungary, or Czechoslovakia was at the time, but it was Hungary's historical territory, and Romania also. Stalin just add territories from these republics to this Bolsheviks creation. So in my personal opinion, this historical mistake has to be deleted, really. Poles, Hungarians, Romanians should have their historical land back. That makes sense, right? It's just. And Russia should have back its own historical land, including former capital of Russia, Kiev. So I don't know what New York Times is talking about, what kind of scenarios. But Mark Rubio, by the way, even though lately he was making relatively soft statements towards Russia, earlier, by the way, in 2022, 2023, he was as hawkish towards Russia as any other warmonger among neocons. And he is, of course, asset of neocons, no doubts about that. If Rubio is appointed as a State Department, as a head of State Department, one can guarantee that US gonna escalate with Cuba for sure. US will probably try to conduct yet another regime change there. After Cuba, US will most likely escalate with Venezuela, with Bolivia, they will focus big time on Latin America to conduct regime changes in every state that is not 100% controlled by Washington right now. And Rubio is very hawkish on China also. I mean, he's extremely aggressive towards China. And that's why I'm saying, by the way, based on this information that we are receiving from Washington about possible contenders on this or that position in Trump's administration, one may argue that neocons are filling all the positions with their candidacies, majority of the positions at least, if not all. And therefore, unfortunately, it is highly likely that during Trump's administration, US will escalate not just in South America, not just with Cuba, Venezuela, a number of other countries in South America, Central and South America, but also with Iran in the Middle East, and also with China. They might even provoke proxy war against China. And they will sacrifice Taiwan for that. And I just said about these possible potential nominees to take some positions in the administration of Trump, and Elon Musk is one of them. So the US President-elect Donald Trump has announced that their business magnates Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy will lead the new Department of the Government Efficiency during his second term in the White House. Together, these two wonderful Americans will pave the way for my administration to dismantle government bureaucracy, slash excess regulations, cutter wasteful expenditures, and restructure federal agencies, Trump said in a statement on Tuesday. And well, idea may be a good one. Idea may be a good one, but because of their information about some other appointments, possible appointments, I think Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy will leave Trump's administration in short time, by the way, because they're not gonna achieve nothing really. This is my prediction. Just mark my word, by the way, and let's remember it after a year, because I don't think Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy gonna stay in this administration that will be even more aggressive on the world stage and will spend even more money on wars and the military industrial complex than previous one. And that's exactly what is going to happen, because look at this, for example, this news that Trump nominates Fox News host for defense secretary. And this is not a joke, by the way. But this is not a joke. US President-elect Donald Trump has named Fox News host and the former National Guardsman Peter Hegseth or something as his nominee for the next Secretary of Defense. And this person, by the way, I mean, members of our community from US probably are familiar with this individual. I can see some clips of him, but I don't really pay much attention. And I guess many members of our community from outside of the US also did not really pay much attention to this person. But today I share this video, by the way, on my Telegram. When I see this news, I share this video on my Telegram channel, and you can see, by the way, his approach to, let's say, Ukrainian crisis. He is all about escalation. He is all about escalating with Russia. He is all about long-range strikes on Russia, more weapons to be sent to Kyiv regime, more money to be sent. Just listen to him, by the way. This is yet another psycho. This is definitely asset of the neocons, by the way, and Trump is appointing him to the position of defense secretary. Okay, then. Okay, what Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy gonna do when defense spendings of US under the Trump will further skyrocket? If it's now stands on some 700 or 800 billion, I guess under the Trump, this number will reach even trillion. And I have a reason to say so, because already, by the way, there is a push in US on the narrative that US armed forces are, need some more money, more equipment, more everything, because they are not capable enough right now. And for example, let's go through this news when US senator basically is saying exactly what I just said, that US Army was in the spotlight after the statement of Republican senator from Alabama, Tommy Tuberville, on the air of the Fox News channel. The senator stressed that the US armed forces are in a critical condition and are not able to defeat any enemy. We must arm our army now. Our army is a disaster, an absolute disaster. We would not be able to beat anyone right now, Tuberville said. These statements underscores the growing concern in American society about the readiness of US armed forces for possible conflicts. Well, by the way, no one is going to attack US, right? No one in this world has any plans to attack US, occupy US, or anything like that. We all understand that perfectly well, right? We all know this. But all these talks that will intensify now, most likely, that US Army needs more arms, more this and more that, means just one thing, and one thing only. Not a better spending on part of Pentagon, no more controlled spending, no less corruption, but what this means is that more money will be allocated for a Pentagon, and eventually this money, of course, will find its way to bank accounts of U.S. military-industrial complex. That's all it is. That's all it is, right? And therefore, as I said, by the way, spendings of U.S. gonna increase so much so in upcoming years under Trump's administration, as far as I understand, that Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk, they're gonna run away from administration of Biden, by the way. That's what is going to happen. And I remind you, dear friends, that number of weeks ago, Elon Musk, when asked about this possible appointment, said that if he will become official, he will try to decrease spendings, U.S. spendings on the 2 trillion. And of course, he was mistaken, because he's not gonna decrease U.S. spendings even for a penny. U.S. spendings will increase. Right now, U.S. debt is on 36 trillion, right? After a year, it will be 37, 38, somewhere there. But we will see. We will see, by the way. But disappointment of this person, Fox News host as defense secretary, definitely sends quite a clear message. This possible appointment definitely sends quite clear message to us, to Russian citizens, to Russian leadership, I guess, to world, basically, that US is not de-escalating nothing nowhere. Because, I mean, listen to this person on my, this is short video, by the way, little more than a minute. And you can check that video on my Telegram. And, I mean, you tell me then if that person sounds like someone that is all about de-escalating and improving US image worldwide. No, it's exactly the opposite. Let's continue. And well, meanwhile, Biden's administration is in hurry to allocate as many billions of US taxpayers as possible for US military-industrial complex, and therefore Biden is about to ask for more money for Kiev regime, formerly Kiev regime, but eventually we all know this money is doing U-turn somewhere around Kiev, and they're going back directly to bank accounts of their corrupt officials in US and their military-industrial complex. So the US President Joe Biden will appeal for continued funding for Ukraine's war efforts against Russia in his remaining month in the office. White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan told CBS News on Saturday the Biden administration intends to use all the money appropriated by Congress for Ukraine-related spendings before Donald Trump takes office in January. The Republican president-elect is expected to drastically reduce assistance to Kiev, either forcing European members of NATO to shoulder the burden on nudging the Ukrainian government to seek peace with Russia through concessions. I mean, this is all nonsense, by the way. Trump not gonna decrease no spending, sir. He is appointing someone as defense secretary that is bragging about the increase on spendings on the regime and more weapons to be directed. So this is all nonsense. This is all nonsense. Now, neolibs, Biden's administration is trying to justify their increased spendings, increased allocations of the funds for Kiev regime. They want to justify it with this nonsense that Trump administration will do this and that, and they're going to abandon Kiev regime. They're not going to abandon nothing. They are all about further increase of hostilities. And unfortunately, most likely Trump's administration will allocate even more funds and even more weapons for Kiev regime than Biden's administration. And probably Trump will do it in 1 year. In the first year of Trump, More money and weapons will be formally allocated for Kyiv regime than in 4 years of Biden. That's what kind of impression I get from what I see. And this is quite unfortunate, man. I was, hoping that there might be some de-escalation, but I mean, no. When you are appointing these clowns or when you are considering to appoint these psychopaths, psycho clowns as a defense secretaries, you are clearly sending message that you are not about de-escalating anything. It's exactly the opposite. So yes, US society should get ready to spend even more on foreign wars, and possibly more than ever even. RT is reporting that Houthi rebels, by the way, Ansar Allah movement claims that they conducted attack on US aircraft carrier, a number of other warships in the Red Sea. So Yemeni Houthis launched a successful missile attack on the USS Abraham Lincoln aircraft carrier in the Arabian Sea, not the Red Sea, but Arabian Sea, on Tuesday, according to statement posted on X by spokesman of this group, Yahir Sari. A second attack targeted 2 American naval destroyers in the Red Sea, he said. So aircraft carrier was attacked in Arabian Sea, 2 US destroyers in Red Sea. Houthis claim that this strike was successful. No way to confirm or deny this. Of course, Pentagon will never admit that any missiles or drones from Houthi rebels managed to hit any of its warships. But still, it is, how many months now US and UK are conducting this military operation against Houthi rebels, and still Houthis are well capable to conduct strikes, not just to block, basically, to continue blockade of their Israel by targeting ships that are destined to Israel. But they are well capable of conducting strikes on US military assets in the region. Quite impressive, and not really surprising, because if you remember, I was saying on the very beginning of this US-UK military operation against Houthi rebels that they're not gonna achieve much, because Saudi Arabia, with assistance of very same US and UK, were and number of other countries, were fighting Houthi rebels for 9+ years, isn't it? And they did not manage to achieve much. So there was no reason to believe that the US and the UK will be any more successful. Anyways, let's continue. RIA Novosti is reporting that India intends to further increase cooperation with Russia and to encourage Indian companies to do business with their Russian counterparts. This was stated by Foreign Minister of India, Subramaniam Jaishankar, legendary foreign minister, in the beginning of their meeting of Russian-Indian governmental commission on trade and economical relationships between their country, and also on relationships of science and technology and cultural field. India is a strategical partner of Russia, by the way. You know my attitude towards India. I see them as a brotherly nation, and I am all for all sorts of cooperation. As close as we are, India and Russia is better for this world. It's good for us, obviously, because our relationships are our closer ties are beneficial for both sides, and also closer cooperation of the Russia and India is beneficial for entire world for many reasons, not just economical, financial, cultural, but in terms of security also. So great news that despite the Western pressure, immense Western pressure that New Delhi is experiencing, Indian leadership is not backing down, and they are willing to further intensify cooperation with Russia in all possible ways, which is great, by the way. Kommersant newspaper is reporting that OPEC member states once again corrected their forecast on demand on oil in 2024, what is left of 2024. In 2025, forecast was changed towards decrease in the numbers of demand on volume that will be in demand in this time frame. And there are several reasons for that. Chinese economy is not growing as much as expected, I guess, and the demand in China is relatively low. And also, by the way, take a look at the Western states, Western economies, especially in Europe, by the way. All major economies are on the edge of what is the word? I forget, man. There is a word, isn't it? When economy is not growing, but anyways, Western economies are not in the best shape, let's say this way. They are not growing, or if there is any growth, just a little bit, 0 point some percentage point recession, basically. That's the word, by the way. Almost all the major economies in Europe are on edge of recession or in the recession. And that, of course, that situation, of course, also influences demand on energy. And as a result, OPEC change its forecaster and downgrade volume of volumes that will be in demand in 2024, 2025. I guess that means that OPEC plus countries will maintain current agreement in place, according to which countries are voluntarily agreed to produce less oil, for 2 point something million barrel a day less oil. Maybe this number will even increase in 2025. So, because of the less demand, all producer nations will put on the world market less oil to maintain some sort of okay level on the pricing for oil. RIA Novosti is also reporting that Russian GDP in first 9 months increased for 4%, more than 4% actually. This was reported by Mikhail Mishustin, Prime Minister of the Russian Federation. And well, why am I not surprised? You know my take on this topic. Even though I'm not an economical expert or financial expert, my prediction was and is that Russian economy will grow in 2024 at least 4 to 4.5%. And now Mikhail Mishustin is reporting that despite the expectations of the finance ministry and the Russian leadership, that the economy will grow 3.8, 3.9%. In reality, at least for now, first 9 months of this year, Russian economy is growing more than 4%. Which is great, by the way, which is great. And now I don't think this number will decline because it's New Year's celebration is coming in, right? Economy is overly active in these times, so I guess economy will gain another additional percentage point when it comes to grow, and in the end, probably we will receive numbers like 4.1, 4.2% in year-on-year terms, that Russian GDP will grow in 2024, which is great, by the way. Maybe even more. We will find out in about 3 to 5 months' time. Kommersant newspaper is reporting, and I will end this update on this news, that capitalization of cryptocurrencies, by the way, first time reach $3 trillion, which is not really surprising, given the fact that in last couple of days, since Trump's victory in presidential elections, cryptocurrencies gain very significantly, very significantly. Bitcoin reached some 90,000 or something. And other cryptocurrencies are also increasing. And the overall capitalization of cryptos right now are on a $3.14 trillion, which is a huge number, obviously. And I guess will only increase, and in the next 4 to 5 years, I guess cryptocurrencies will play increasingly more important role in everyday life of economies and ordinary people also. Probably we will all come, we will all get we will all learn some more about cryptocurrencies because it is necessary now. I mean, cryptos are gaining momentum, and yes, they will play bigger role, undoubtedly bigger role in our lives as time goes by. And this is it for now, dear friends. This is it for now. Hopefully you will find this update interesting, informative, useful, maybe a bit entertaining. That would be good. Unfortunately, I don't have comedical skills, which is sad because, of course, program will be much more entertaining if I had good sense of humor, but I don't. But anyways, I hope you will like this video, and if so, please click that like button, leave some commentary just about anything. Let's try and influence algorithm. Maybe we will reach a wider audience, and I truly believe that there are thousands, tens of thousands, and hundreds of thousands of people in this world, including on YouTube, by the way, that want to hear voice from Russia, but they can't because in this segment of news and political commentary, I know just my channel from Russia, right? There is no other channels that are operating from Russia, unfortunately, because if there was like more channels like mine, then that will bring up opportunity to do some collaborations and that kind of stuff. But unfortunately, right now, it's me in this field alone, and our community on YouTube is just reached 31,000. So there is a potential to grow, but to do it, we have to reach somehow this audience that may have interest to hear from Russia. And yes, if you can, please also share information about my channel in real life with your friends or on internet. And if you like my work, if you want to see further development of this project, or this project to stay alive, basically, please consider to support my work with small donations through PayPal or Boosty platforms, or by subscribing to my Patreon page and page on Boosty, on which I have second updates and some additional extra content on every other day on quite regular basis. Links are under this video in the description box and in the pinned comment. This is it for now. Have a wonderful, great day, and take care.